Hello, this is Darius Oliver with Divine Numerology. Thank you for tuning in with us this Friday at after 3 o'clock. We had some announcements earlier throughout this week and about some events that are going on. And today, what I'm going to be touching on is actually the books that have led me in my beginning of my research, my beginning of my search, and have always been there to give me guidance when I needed it, help me make really big changes and really big decisions in my life at really crucial times. And the reason why I want to show you these books is because these help me to learn the basics, to get my basic understanding of numerology, to lay the groundwork and the foundation. And I feel that by me showing and sharing it with other people how I learned about it, the books I studied from, you can also benefit from this knowledge as well. So a little bit about numerology is that it's the study of numbers and how numbers affect us in our day-to-day life. It's about studying our cycles, our personal lives, things that we experience, our relationships, compatibilities, and what's really going on in our life. How can we tell ahead of time how we're going to be interacting with a certain person or a certain individual? How can we tell in advance whether we're making business decisions, whether it's the right time to go for that interview, what's the right date for job interviews and such like that? And then just, really finding out what our life purpose is. Why are we here on this planet? What is it here that we're here to do and to learn and to grow, the lessons? All these things can be shown to us through numerology and by a study of our chart. And that's how I originally started. So the first time when I ever heard about numerology was actually from the Bible. That's the first place I ever heard about numerology. And what really intrigued me was how the Bible would continuously talk about certain numbers like 33, the number 40, like 40 days, 40 nights with Jesus, Moses, and Noah, 40 years. 33 was when Jesus died. When he poured the Holy Spirit on the congregation, depending on what your spiritual background is. And that was the first place where I've seen a significance to numbers. It would always talk about 7 being the number of completion, perfect spiritual perfection, 1 being the beginning, 6 was the day that man was created, and then 6 being a number that's associated with man throughout the Bible. And then 8, and just all these numbers had different meanings and significance. And it just intrigued me, and I wanted to know what the meanings were. For some reason, I didn't know why. I just did. It just was so interesting to me. And then when I found out that these numbers, beyond just having meanings and significance, just in a general importance, they come to reveal certain aspects of human behavior and characteristics. That caught my attention, and the way it did was when I was with my first business mentor, Mr. Nguyen, with a health company. We were actually finished talking to an appointment that day at Starbucks. And he just asked me out of the blue, Darius, hey, what's your birthday? And so I told him what my birthday was. And he said, oh, okay, cool. You have a life path 2810. And I didn't know what the heck that meant. But I asked him, and he said, well, 2018 means it's dealing with confidence and creativity. It is the one where you have to be the leader. You have to kind of lead the way for other people and surrender your ego, and you have to learn how to really embrace your own independence and make those life changes, those life choices that are all in line with independence. That's one of the things he shared with me. And I asked him, I was like, hey, well, how do you know about this? Where'd you get this stuff from? And he told me that he got it from a book called The Life You Were Born to Live by Dan Millman. And that book, I shortly got it, and we went to Las Vegas and we saw him speak. And here it is right here. If you guys are watching, this is how the book actually looks. So we went to Las Vegas and actually heard him speak. And what I learned from him, he's actually the author of many books. One of them that's the most notable is called The Way of the Peaceful Warrior. A lot of you probably have heard of that book. It's really good if you haven't. And if you have an interest in checking it out, it's really about a young man's spiritual journey and what he learns from his mentor. If you really want to take a look at that, you can get that at Barnes & Noble or Amazon or anything like that. But with this book right here, it just really opened my eyes to numbers and the significance that they have, especially when I looked at my own life path, because that was what I was curious about. I wanted to know what I'm here to learn and how I'm here to benefit and what my purpose is. That's what I really wanted to know. And I've had this book for years. Not this same copy, because I've given this book away many times and I bought it many times. That's the crazy thing. But it's followed me throughout this time. All the years that I've been studying, and I have it again. It just finds me every single time.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, it is. With that, it helped me when I was switching careers numerous times. Whenever I was going through a career change, a change in work or a job, when I was leaving a 9 to 5, for the One Life path, they specifically said, hey, you have to take on your own authority. You have to learn how to be independent and not dependent. And to me, the way that I interpreted that, and this is not true for everyone, but it was true for me. The way that I interpreted independence for myself was to be completely self-sufficient and self-employed, as opposed to relying on another person to write my checks. And when I read a specific sentence in the book, it really motivated me to make a really big change. And that sentence I actually have underlined right here. It because I had a resentment toward authority at that time. And then here's the sentence: they resent authority figures because they haven't yet taken on their own authority. So it just said to me, Darius, you need to take on your own authority. You need to do this. I read this same sentence when I was about to move out of the house. I was tired of living under my parents' rules. I wanted to do things my way. I wanted to express myself, my individuality, my independence. And it said, oh, well, look, you resent authority figures because you haven't taken your own authority. So I spoke to them. I said, hey, I got to take on my own authority. Same thing, left jobs to move on to something better and bigger, more self-reliant. Got to take on my own authority and embrace it. And that's one way that this book here has really helped me out. And once I gained a lot more insight into mine, it helped me out to understand other people. Here's another sentence. When 2810s feel personally secure and are willing to claim their own authority, they create abundance on every level and make as much money as they allow themselves to. There was many limiting beliefs that I was struggling with and getting rid of. This helped me to identify those within myself and to eliminate them so I can move forward. And by actually taking that step and claiming my own authority, and now at this point, I encourage everyone out there to do the same in whatever way that you feel that you can reclaim your authority and stand in your power. That's the way that it's done. So it's going to be according to your truth and what is your way of standing in your own power. that was the first book that I benefited from. Aside from that, it gave me insight into other people and their thought processes and their mind, and how the certain lessons that people are here to learn. So it was a really good introduction into what lessons that we agreed to study and the script we agreed to learn before we came to this planet, which was really cool, leading me to the next one. Because after I was studying The Life You're Born to Live, I discovered another book, actually from the author herself, and her name is Heather Lagan, and she has this book right here, Chaldean Numerology for Beginners. So this took it to a whole nother level for me, because it was at this point that I realized that I could actually add names up. Names have values. The letters in my name has a special value that tells characteristics about me. And not just that, but this is one of the most ancient forms of calculation in numerology, which makes it that much more powerful. I found many correlations. And it's really awesome that after I got a hold of this book, I soon came in contact with the author, and we started to communicate through Facebook, and I would just ask her advice, and she would give me ideas and suggestions and pointers on different things. And that was a really awesome experience that I have to this day.
It's really cool that you were able to contact the author.
Yeah.
Talk to him.
It's awesome.
Yeah, lucky.
Yeah, it is. It's a great privilege. I asked her numerous questions. I've seen her videos on YouTube, taking notes from her website. It's just been just a fantastic experience, learning from her and still learning from her, because I think maybe I mentioned that we're friends on Facebook. So I'll ask her a question from time to time. She'll say, "Hey, Darius, look, somebody wants a reading, or somebody wants a name analysis or something like that. Hey, I'm going to refer them to you." So she also has referred to me certain clients in the past, which is awesome when you're the author of a book that you read and you studied, gives you referrals.
Yeah, I can imagine.
That's crazy.
It's like you wouldn't normally imagine something like that happening.
Yeah, man.
As you're going through reading and you're like, wow, look at all this knowledge, and this is very interesting. I wonder who wrote this and where they got this, and then you meet them and you get to talk to them and they help you out.
Really cool. Man, it's awesome. She told me her life story as far as how she came to study numerology also, and just hearing that and how helpful she's been and how patient. I hope that you're watching, Heather, because your work has helped me out a long way. And I highly recommend that anyone who's watching this, check out any of the books that I'm speaking of. If you have interest in learning about numerology, go to your local library or go somewhere where you can find these and take a look for yourself and see what benefit you might have. There's another mentor that I have as well, who I keep in even more close contact with, because what I found, these books have traveled with me. I went to the East Coast. I went to Boston, Philadelphia, New Jersey, and had these books with me the whole time. So all this time that I'm looking and working with these different personalities and people, I'm also studying their names and their birthdays according to what I'm reading and observing from their own characteristics. So I have the benefit of applying this in business and building teams and taking down their information, just the name and the birthday, and then comparing it to what the books tell me, and consistently seeing the same patterns and similar patterns, so that I'm able to say to my colleagues when they ask me, "Darius, how do you keep growing the big teams, man? I want to do that." "Oh, dude," because everywhere, whatever office I would go to, it just had a nice size team. They would say, "Hey, what's your secret, man?" They just wanted to know. So I'm like, "Hey, look, well, let me show you." And then I'm like, well, how do you know it's gonna work? I'm like, trust me, dude. I do this. This is what I do. There's pictures, and anyone who actually worked with me from there can vouch for it. We did bets for money at that time about who would win. My mentor, that was one thing. One of my mentors, I'm not gonna say his name, but he knows who he is if he's watching. That we made a bet on who would win between two individuals. And I made my decision. I made my choice based on the personal day that each one was having. And I had so much confidence that I was the one who went for the actual bet. And he was kind of seemed a little bit puzzled. Why is he so confident? What's he know? What does he know?
What did it made him nervous, I'm sure.
It's so later that night he called me and told me the results and was like, hey, wow, how'd you know? And so we had a nice long conversation about how that worked. The final one that I want to show on here, though, is the King's Book of Numerology. In addition to The Life You Were Born to Live and Chaldean Numerology, the King's Book of Numerology is a book by Richard Andrew King, and he is a phenomenal numerologist. As far as the work that he's revealed, and it just has changed my outlook on many things about numerology that I thought I knew. And again, he's an author that I have contact with. I call him maybe once or twice a month, and talk to him about things that I've been learning from numerology, how to use it. And whenever I speak to him, he unloads this gem on me that totally makes me look at everybody in a different way. Myself, all the readings I've ever done makes me, oh, that's why that was like that. Okay. So I just highly recommend that if you guys are in the library and you happen to see any one of these books, to check them out. He's got like 13 books that he's written. Check it out so you can get some insight like this as well, and it'll just work wonders for you in your life. And I couldn't recommend them highly enough. So that is our first segment. Thank you guys for tuning in to Divine Numerology with Darius Oliver. We're gonna have our next guest, and her name is Beth, and she is a spiritual worker. She's a light worker, and she's going to be talking to us about the type of work that she does and how she's bringing love and light onto the planet.
KXVS LP Stockton.
The Third City Podcast is a production of Third City.
Hey guys, it's Nikki D from Nikki D with Details and OJ. You can catch our show on Wednesday nights from 7 to 9 p.m. here at the Voice of Stockton. We do Hollywood interviews, local interviews, restaurants, food, you name it, we do it. If I'm not talking, I'm eating.
Hey, it's Details, and I'm the awkward guy on the show. But you know what? You also can tell me, am I right or am I wrong on the show, as I give you the top 5 questions of the day. And you can hear me play the little thing I like to call my bell.
And this is OJ, the MMJ, the man on the street. He was happening with our town and saying, okay, do you belong here? I'm like, of course. Oh, yeah.
All right. So make sure you catch our show on Wednesday nights from 7 to 9 p.m. here only at
The Voice of Stockton.
Hi everyone, this is Dr. Julie Dameron, local veterinarian for over 20 years. I am so excited about my new radio show, Tales and Tips, on Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, Voice of Stockton, and KXVS Radio. I will discuss relevant issues affecting animals and pet owners today, how to avoid common problems, and how to extend the quality of life for your cherished companions. As a community advocate, I will also discuss important social issues that affect our city. I plan to showcase organizations and heroes who are doing amazing things to help others. Remember to tune in every Tuesday morning at 10, starting soon.
The Third City Podcast is a production of Third City Coalition. In our show, we examine case studies in urban development in Stockton and other cities like Stockton across the country, exploring their local and regional impacts. Individual efforts play a role in Third City development, and it starts with you. We hope you'll join us for new episodes starting in early 2017.
Me, a cat, moving in with a new human. It took a little getting used to. She has these weird games she likes to play, like this giant feather. She sticks it in my face. I swat it away. She sticks it in my face. I swat it away. It's almost like she thinks I enjoy it. But seeing how much fun she gets out of it, well, I guess it makes it all worth it. Humans.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
So I'm a cat, and I just moved in with this new human, and she's got this little toy she's always playing with, all day long. Tap, 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 bloop, bloop. She can't put it down. There it is. Oh, and get this. She even talks to it. Last week, she asked it for Chinese, and guess what? Egg rolls showed up. Like magic. Humans have cool toys.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
Today in school, I learned a lot. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me. In English, I learned that I'm disgusting. And in physics, I learned that I'm a loser.
Today in school, I learned that I'm ugly and useless. And in gym, I learned that I'm pathetic and a joke. In history, I learned that I'm trash.
Today in school, I learned that I have no friends. In English, I learned that I make people sick. And at lunch, I learned that I sit on my own because I smell. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me.
In biology, I learned that I'm fat and stupid. And in math, I learned that I'm trash.
The only thing I didn't learn in school today?
The only thing I didn't learn today.
The only thing I didn't learn
is why no one ever helps.
Kids witness bullying every day. They want to help, but they don't know how. Teach them how to stop bullying and be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov. A message from the Ad Council.
KXVS 92.1 coming soon. KXVS.
Hello. So this is Darius with Divine Numerology. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We have an incredibly powerful individual being with us. Her name is Miss Beth Charles, and she's the founder of the Diamond Light of Creation for healings and workshops. And she's actually here with us today to talk about what it is exactly that she does and her way of bringing a conscious awareness and sharing love and light with the planet. And she's gonna give us more. She's gonna answer some of our questions that we have about how her light working is impacting herself, how she came into it, how it came to her, and how it's revealed to her how it's revealed itself to her, and how she has been able to express that with us. So how are you doing, Miss Beth?
I'm doing well, thank you.
It's great to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So we see that you're the founder of the Diamond Light of Creation, and you do healings. So I was just curious. If you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, the Diamond Light of, the Diamond Light of Creation came to me about 2 years ago.
Nice.
It's channeled information, and the goddess mother Shekinah came to me when I was doing some healing sessions and kept appearing, and so she asked me to write this down. So it took me about 2 years to write it. I have a manual. I'm still working on book form of this, yes. And it's very powerful in that it works with 13 chakras, so that you have the main 7 chakras, and one in each hand, one above, one below, and higher heart center. And this system brings in the diamond light, which comes from our soul star energy, and brings that energy down through each one of the chakras.
Interesting.
Yes. And then adds the the angelic vibration.
Wow, that's very, 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 very powerful.
Yes, it is, and it can be. And I've seen some really wonderful results with this.
I'm actually taking out my pen so I can write some stuff down.
That's fine.
It sounds like it's very fascinating.
Okay.
Especially from how we first met.
Mm-hmm.
So the way we met, me and Miss Beth, we actually met at the Spring Healing Festival about 2 weeks ago. And she had a booth, and I also had a booth, and she came to me, and she held one of my stones, which is referred to as a cinnabar. This one right here. This is a companion of mine. And she channeled some information from it that impacted me greatly and led to some revelation about myself and my situation and some things that are soon to take place. So it was a very, very, very intriguing experience. She was actually also a client, one of our friends that had a numerology reading that day, and what I saw when I looked at her chart was amazing. It just said that she. Is it okay if I tell him?
Sure.
It said that this here is someone who, first of all, should write a book. And when I said that, she was like, oh, okay, I already made the manual. It's time to write the book now. And it just said it in her chart. And I was like, whoa, look, the number 34. Whenever I see 34, that's the writer's number. And then I looked further in her chart, and the numbers just pointed to mastery at this time. She just, as in her line of work, there's the point of mastery that has been reached. And there was nothing else that I could say other than that. Literally, I can't say anything else. I just couldn't. I was like, hey, that's what it says. And you know it. She's like, yep, I know. Yeah, that's right. But in humility, she said, of course. She was like, yes, I'm aware of this. They've told me. But I just want to know a lot more about the impact and what are some of the most notable experiences that you've had doing your work?
I would have to say being on Mount Shasta. I've had some pretty profound experiences there where I've met master beings and been taken inside the mountain, and also just when I meet people, like when I met you and I picked up your stone, it automatically helped me to connect with you and then open my channel and channel the information for you in that moment. I do a lot of that without even really thinking about it. It just happens. I just channel for people. I guess I've had a lot of amazing experiences, but not just mine, but other people's. When I channel for them, wonderful messages come through for them. And so that's the gift that I give back to the people, is giving them their gifts, making them aware of what's possible in their lives.
Empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a very empowering effect on the people that you encounter.
That's a good way to put it.
That's what I personally experienced.
Oh, okay.
As well, from that. And when you just said Mount Shasta, for many reasons recently that in my personal life, my jaw just dropped when you said that, because I was literally talking about that yesterday and then the day before. Yes, your work does have a very empowering effect. If we ever want to find you or to attend one of your workshops or learn more about your work, how could we get a hold of one of your manuals?
Well, I have them. I offer the workshops. I just did one here in Stockton. I'm not from here anymore. I was originally from here. Now I live in Eugene, Oregon. I have my website is currently being produced. I do have a phone number and an email address. People can contact me that way. I'm happy to speak with anybody who has any questions and would like to have more information about the Diamond Light. I also teach other workshops. I'm an angelic Reiki master. I also teach that, and I do. I also do private sessions and healings, and I'm in Stockton twice a year.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And so you hear that, guys? She's in Stockton twice a year. And so the next time, do we know when the next time you'll be in our Stockton area?
Yes, I'll be here in October.
Okay. So guys, if you are liking what you're hearing so far, which I'm sure you are, in October, she will Miss Beth will be available. She will be in Stockton if you would like to have any to sit with her, meet with her, and talk about your personal life, and you see what messages she may have. When you do channeling, how many different beings do you work with?
Well, that depends on the person, because when I channel, their guides or their guardians, ascended masters, angels, whoever works with that person will come through, not necessarily mine. It would be theirs. So I work with any number of beings that present themselves in that moment for that person. Oftentimes it can be a being that is just like, for instance, when I did your channeling, that being was for you personally. Then angels come in, ascended masters come in, archangels, they'll bring messages for the person.
Okay. One question that I'm sure someone out there is wondering, because I didn't mention this before, is I kind of jumped ahead a little bit because I didn't ask what exactly is channeling for those of our listeners who may not know or understand.
That's a very good question. Channeling is the ability to open your mind and your heart center and move up through the channels, so to speak. And it takes practice and knowledge and a certain amount of abilities, I guess, for lack of a better word, to channel. But people can be taught to channel. It's not that hard. It's just practice. And so by being an angelic Reiki master was the first time that I opened to channeling. Through attunements, you open your being to bring in the angelic vibration. So once you are open for that, then you can, I guess, hone in your skills to become a channel. For me, it just happens. I didn't try to do it. It just happens for people. I will be with them, working on them, or in the situation with you, I just picked up a stone, and then here's all this information that comes through. So oftentimes the guide, the guardian, or the angels would like to get a message to that person, and the person hasn't been open to that up until this point in their life. And then as things have it, you meet somebody, and before you know it, you're helping them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Reason why I say wow is because you said that as far as channeling, the thing that opened you up and helped you to be able to tune into these things initially was when you got attuned to angelic Reiki.
Yes.
That's a very powerful statement. We actually have some angelic Reiki practitioners in the Stockton area as well. And I think
actually brought the angelic Reiki to Stockton.
Whoa, high five. Thank you very much.
I went to Mount Shasta in 2004 and took the training, and I came back and 2 weeks later I did the first trainings here in Stockton. So
wow.
Yes.
I had no idea until this moment when you shared that with me. I happen to be an angelic Reiki master as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned it from Janice.
Yes.
And
she was one of my first students.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you guys realize who we have on this show right now. It's a privilege and an honor to be here, to have you on the show with us, to be holding space so that we can raise the frequency in this area.
Yes. Very important at this time.
It is greatly appreciated. I want to ask you a question. What do you think the significance of that is? That you brought it here, mm-hmm. and now that this platform exists,
mm-hmm.
you are actually speaking to the airwaves now about it and getting that out there.
Well, I think everything is always in divine timing. So to have this opportunity once again to speak to the people here in Stockton is an honor and a privilege. I believe that the angels speak to me and give me opportunities to help people. And if this touches one person, then I've done my job.
My mind is still blown. Donovan, do you have any questions?
I do have just one question. When you began training people here in Stockton, what was that like? What was the process?
Well, like I said, I had been trained in other modalities of Reiki, and I went to Mount Shasta and received this angelic Reiki. Not really knowing, just going on faith. I made a class up in 2 weeks. 2 weeks after I took this training, I just said, I have to take this to the people. It's what's important. And so I set up a class, and I taught many classes here before I left and went to Eugene. And I think that's what it's all about. It's about teaching people and helping them to raise their vibration. And in the ascension process, it's I know it's what I do, it's what many do, and I have to thank anyone who is at that level that can do that or has that understanding.
Well, I'd like to thank you for bringing that to Stockton,
thank
teaching
you.
people.
Do you want to share your experience that you had?
My Reiki experience. I think I've only had. I suppose two. I went to. The first one was with Jessica. What is her last name again?
Gillenwater.
Jessica Gillenwater. She did a reading on me and my friend Xenia, and it was very, very powerful and very, I guess, revealing. And very interesting. And it was one I don't think I'll ever forget, because it was just so like direct and immediate and specific.
Sure.
And like powerful and like just undeniable. So that was really that was very interesting. And then after that, I went to angelic Reiki with I'm so terrible with names. Janice's.
She taught Janice.
She taught Janice, right? Of course, and that's like how cool, right? What a nice circle we've come to here.
Right.
But that was very interesting. It was with a group of people, and I didn't get to meet everyone or get to know everyone who was there. But it was a very like really centering and like interesting, like sort of. I felt like I was like looking through a scope, like I could see a lot.
Sure.
You know, so it was very tranquil and like, this is not the words fail me, but I felt like it was very opening and revealing and just very interesting and like definitely something to remember, something that was very unique, like in my experiences and in my life. So I'd like to thank you for that, because without you, none of that would have happened.
Well, thank you. Yeah. So have you found that the angels have impacted your life since taking that?
Not that I can specifically identify, but quite possibly. You know,
Yeah.
I haven't been like paying attention, and I haven't like nothing specific has stood out to me. But since that time period, that's sort of the weeks surrounding that, before and after, a lot of interesting things have happened, and a lot of things in my life have like changed, and I've been able to see a lot.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure the things are like related. So, yeah, I suppose actually.
Well, one of the things I always tell my students is that angelic Reiki will definitely change your life and move you in a new direction. It always does, and it always will. And the angels are only ever but a breath away. All you have to do is invite them. They won't come because we have free will. But as soon as you invite them, they're available. And they're all around you, and they want to help you at all times. So just remember that and ask.
Ask.
Mm-hmm.
I will. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
That was awesome to share. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
And thanks for sharing that as well, Donovan.
Oh, of course.
You know, there's a lot of things going on in the atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
And we're adjusting to a lot of energy shifts.
Yes.
And you see it, it's all over Facebook. People, very sensitive people, are talking about the energies that they're picking up, whether it's at work, whether it's at home, wherever they're at, they're experiencing things. They're feeling something different.
Yes.
And I was just wondering if there's any word that you might have to share with those that are adjusting and dealing with these shifts, especially light workers,
mm-hmm.
who are naturally very sensitive, empathic, and will eventually have to shine their light brightly, and how we can cope and deal the best that we can with these energies, with these shifts. If there's anything that you could say to that.
Well, yes. The first thing that, when you first started talking, the first thing that jumped into my mind was rest, because rest is really important. Because those of us who are empathic or, sensitive to the energies, it can impact your life, and it can make you very tired, and being aware of also when you are feeling, you can feel, kind of even have flu-like symptoms at times, and you won't know why, but that's why, because you are being impacted. I would say rest is important, and to be in nature. That's very important.
We've been hearing a lot about nature and go back to nature. Go, take your shoes off, stand in the grass.
Yes.
Why is it important for us at this time to really connect with nature? For those who have that question.
Okay. Well, because you're going to connect to the earth.
Okay.
To the Great Mother. So, and think about it. We're like right here in here now. There's bright lights and a lot of electronics, and people watch their TVs. Everyone has a cell phone on their cell phones, and so you're bombarded with electromagnetic energies. But in nature, that is not the case. You're just there. You're where things are natural. Being in nature just means you just simply take a walk. Go out where there's trees, hear the birds, have the sun shine on you, walk in a stream. all those things get you back in touch with yourself, what's in your heart and in your spirit. Those are what's important, because we're bombarded with all these other elements, like all those things that I just named. Those aren't really real. So it's important for us to be real with ourselves, be one with ourselves.
Fully integrated.
Yes.
Wow. That makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of sense. I was wondering, and thank you for sharing that. I was wondering if there's any other message that you might have for this particular city in Stockton as to what we may need to know at this time.
I would have to say that it's important to remember community, and for those who have light to share with one another, to be with one another. That's what's important, especially in these times now. To have, even if it's small groups, even if it's just a friend, just to get together and talk with one another and share that light, share your feelings. Because for me, it just feels so, when I come down here, I call it high speed, fast action, concrete jungle.
Yes, like.
Yes. To slow down. Yeah, that's what's important.
Okay.
Slow down.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, that has been our interview with Miss Beth Charles, the leader and founder of the Diamond Light of Creation, and she has healings and workshops. And if you'd like to get a hold of her, the best way will be at her phone number, which is 541-913-1614. That's 541-913-1614. And you can also catch her by her email, and that is wise1747@gmail.com. That's WISEONE 747@gmail.com. Thank you all for tuning in. I want to give a brief word to our sponsors and our management and staff. We have KXVS management and staff. We have General Manager Governor Don Mazewski, Station Manager and Sports Director Dustin Details Breakbill, Program Director and Music Director Nicole Nikki Dunlap, Nikki D, Traffic and Continuity Director Alex Woods, Multimedia Director Joey Biscacci, Operations Manager Xenia Gonzalez, Assistant Operations Manager Donovan Mazewski, Marketing Manager Betty Ramirez, Production Manager Ryan Cooper, News Director Dr. Mariel Jimenez, Multimedia Journalist Orlando Jose, Social Media Coordinator Alyssa Love Gaspar, News Announcer Richard Slezak, and Office Manager Tim Hawley. I want to thank everyone for tuning in, and thank you all for joining us. We appreciate your support and your love. Remember to tune in to come meet us at Sacramento at the New Earth Living Expo in Sacramento, where I'll be doing readings, and you can also catch Jessica Gillenwater there as well. She's going to be doing angelic Reiki healings too. And tomorrow you can catch me at Dragon Ferry starting at 11. Aside from that, everyone have an awesome day, and thank you for tuning in with me and Miss Beth Charles. You have an awesome evening.
KXVS on 90.